So look, it's no surprise the NYSE's merger with Deutsche Borse has been scuttled by the Europeans. What does that mean? What happens next for the NYSE and in the sector? Jacob Bunge is here with that story for us. So Jacob, we knew this was coming, right? This was widely expected, widely previewed. But I guess my first question is, okay, what happens next for the NYSE?
Well, what's going to happen next, right off the bat, is that the NYSE is going to try and unify its investors and see if it.
Oh, that's terrible.
You see them get moving with the $550 million share repurchase that they're restarting here. That's going to get going after they release their earnings next week, and probably going to be some cost-cutting measures put in place too. But there's some strategic questions that they still need to answer now that they don't have this deal. One of the big things is figuring out what they're going to do as far as clearing trades. Is a big business for exchanges all around the world, and this deal was really going to vault the NYSE forward. They don't really have their own clearing house over in Europe, so this would have helped them out quite a bit having Deutsche Börse. They don't have that now, so they're going to have to figure out if they go back to the drawing board, build their own, or figure out some other kind of deal where they can acquire one.
Well, and Jacob, the sticking point was the derivatives trading business. Who benefits from the blockage of this merger?
Well, the ones that had been resistant in large part had been the banks. The banks, obviously, one of the exchange's biggest constituents when it comes to clientele. They weren't too excited about two of the biggest European derivatives markets going together. The estimate was out there from the TAB group. They put it at 93% of the futures and options that trade in Europe would have been under the control of this new company. The banks were not terribly excited about the idea that they would have that kind of pricing power. Fees might not come down. They might be able to extend the control of the market in other ways, into the over-the-counter derivatives sector, for instance. And so, they're one of the immediate beneficiaries of this since that threat's gone. Some of the rival exchanges, too, that are looking to break into the derivative space, they weren't excited either that these two would go together and consolidate the power there. They see more of an opportunity with the two of them separate.
Yeah. Now, Jake, it seemed like recently M&A and consolidation was the big deal in the exchanges, but now this deal's been blocked. You had the London Stock Exchange and the Toronto Exchange, that deal was blocked. Is all the consolidation in the exchange sector that we've seen all we're going to see? Is this over now?
Well, there's a couple of things that are still in play here. The other deal that got blocked was Singapore and Australia. There was one that got done last year that a lot of people, forget about, and that's BATS Exchange. They merged with Kayaks Europe. They're two European operations, and they now have what I think is the biggest European stock market overall. And so, there's deals to be done. The Canadian exchange is still in negotiations with this bank-led consortium called the Maple Group, which wants to acquire the TMX exchanges and merge them with some of the trade clearing facilities and another smaller exchange up in Canada. There's some smaller deals that are going on. The two Russian exchanges are moving forward with a merger. The two Japanese exchanges finally are moving towards some kind of partnership over there. Even down in Argentina, there's a couple of domestic markets that are getting together. So, there's smaller scale deals, but these big transformative type of things, it's just, back to the drawing board on that.
That's great. Guy knows everything. I asked him a question. He rattles off 8 things. I just want to ask you quickly one last question. How much does national pride play into this? You mentioned the Canadian deals. How much does national pride play into this?
Well, it played into a number of those. The Singapore-Australia deal, that didn't happen because the Australian government was worried that they were going to lose control over some of the domestic trading functions there if Singapore came in and bought it. The banks up in Canada, they're seen motivated by the interest of keeping the TMX exchanges under Canadian ownership.
Right.
But it's funny, the NYSE Deutsche Börse deal, they tried to play the nationalism card in their own favor. They tried to say, hey, this big deal, you're going to have a European champion, they called it, consolidate, we talked about the derivatives, but a lot of the stock trading all under one one big parent, and that this would have a bigger voice for Europe as
Right. But
you
it
know,
didn't really-
regulations globalize and so on. But that didn't work for
Didn't
them.
really
They
work
didn't
for
go
them,
for
right.
it.